Hey, yo, what's poppin', gang? All right, man, so we back with another video. What's good, what's good, what's good? Listen, thank you everybody for clicking on the video, man. Make sure you guys go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new, man. I really appreciate all of the love and support. Let's go ahead and get into this, man. The Clipse have been in the news quite a bit lately, man. And honestly, I think this is a lesson in how to do a rollout. And I think we're starting to learn a little bit more about what was happening behind the scenes with Clipse. And one of the biggest news stories that we saw this week was that basically Def Jam tried to get the Clipse to censor Kendrick's verse on their upcoming album, Let God Sort 'Em Out. So, and that tied into everything with Drake and UMG and lawsuits. And I still think that's one of the craziest things to think, is that because Kendrick was beefing with Drake, there was actually some behind the scenes work there to try to work on behalf of Drake to not have these two artists or this group and this artist be together on the same song, because they're actively beefing. And I think that's just a bigger issue that we're going to see going down the line, depending on how this case actually plays out with UMG and Drake. But just the puppeteers behind the scenes and all that stuff. But we already kind of discussed that. I think it's terrible for hip hop. You guys can let me know how y'all feel about that in the comments. But there's several other things that came out, and it actually from this GQ spread that they did. And again, that's why I say I believe it's this is an expert class in a rollout. We got Ace Trumpets, which I'm going to talk about as well. We got Ace Trumpets, which is the first single or the first entry that we've seen off the album. Then we got the GQ article, and then several of the topics in the article are carrying the news story further down the line for them, which I think is dope, until the release of that album, I believe, is in July. You guys correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But so basically what we're here to talk about today is Clipse paying 7 figures to get out of their Def Jam deal because of Kendrick Lamar feature. Now, we talked about the Kendrick Lamar feature and how that kind of played into basically this whole UMG thing, but I think there was a consensus or maybe even talks that somehow Clipse got dropped from Def Jam, and basically them going over this with GQ kind of clarifies some of that. So Clipse actually paid 7 figures to get out of this Def Jam deal because of the Kendrick Lamar feature. So basically they stood on 10 toes and said, listen, we're not taking them off the album. We're not taking them off. We're not changing the verse. So if y'all don't like it, let us go. Let us go. And they didn't get dropped, so they actually ended up paying 7 figures to get out of it. So let's actually go ahead and get into some of the details in this. A Kendrick Lamar verse is the reason Clipse and Pusha T are no longer signed to Def Jam. Just that sentence alone, fam. Just that sentence alone is powerful. A Kendrick Lamar verse is the reason Clipse and Pusha T are no longer signed to Def Jam, because they Clipse was signed as a group, but then also Pusha was signed as a solo act too. So we basically had to get out of 2 deals. At least that's the way I read it. The Virginia duo was easing the pain of human existence in 2025 with the release of a new album, Let God Sort 'Em Out, in July. The album was expected to drop last year after they signed a deal with Def Jam, the same label behind Pusha T's solo albums. But now the Pharrell-produced album will instead be released through a partnership with Jay-Z's Roc Nation. Okay, so I kind of want to talk about that really quickly, because it kind of makes me understand why maybe the reactions were not allowed to go. And a lot of times, and what I'm talking about is Ace Trumpets in particular, right? So we already know the overarching story is Clipse and Pusha paid 7 figures to get out of the deal. Now they have a partnership with Roc Nation. I don't know if that's just distribution or whatever that is. I don't know the breakdowns and logistics of that deal. But it makes sense why you've seen a lot of blocked, copyright blocked reactions. I did one myself, and before I was even able to upload it, it was blocked completely. Now, I know some people have had workarounds where maybe they've listened to it on headphones and then kind of giving their reaction to it. But it lets me know they're not trying to allow any of those dollars that should be going to the Clipse, should be going to Push and Malice. They're not trying to allow any of those dollars to touch any other hands. And honestly, I understand it. If I paid 7 figures to get out of my deal, I'm not finna let nobody else eat off of my plate. And now normally I would be like, that's kind of whack. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if you want the song to get pushed and you want the song to be out there, you probably want a lot of people and a lot of energy around it. Because I think that's what the reaction community provides, is maybe people that wouldn't listen to it on their own. If they rock with a specific community or a specific reactor, they'll go listen to it there, and then they want to go hear it on their own uninterrupted. Those are my thoughts as a reactor. But listening to that, it kind of made me understand why we got those reactions blocked. Now, I know some of them were able to go up, but mine is still blocked. Pusha also confirmed that manager Steven Victor paid 7 figures to get out of the deal after Billboard reported on the amount. The circumstances surrounding this shift, which also affects Pusha's solo deal, are detailed in a must-read GQ feature penned by Complex alum Fraser Tharp. Okay, so Complex and GQ, they have an overlap here, which is kind of cool. I didn't know that they did that. The person that actually wrote this is a Complex alum. Well, maybe not still with them, but an alum. As Push himself explained in the piece, what set this pivotal change in motion was a guest verse from Kendrick Lamar. This is all of the cause merch that they have too. I think was kind of dope. I do like some of the imagery here, so we might have to grab a tee or something like that to support that too, because I rock with cause. I rock with cause a lot. Here's the gist of what went down. Per Push, he and Malice were expected to release their new album, their first in over 15 years with Def Jam. Excited about what they were hearing. Kendrick's appearance on the track Chains and Whips. So when this album drops, there's so much energy and focus around Chains and Whips. I could see this specific song carrying the album through streaming. Like, just people going to listen to the album for Chains and Whips is going to put this album in a crazy stratosphere because people want to see what he's going to say. Now, he's already said that there's no subs, there's no disses or anything like that, but people are still going to pick through it with a fine-tooth comb and try to find a diss or try to find something there, maybe at Drake or at anybody, even though the verse has apparently been done for over a year, I think. I think it's been over a year the verse has been done. So, however, it's said to have spurred concern at UMG, a Universal Music Group owned label, due to both Push and Kendrick's well-documented Drake issues. Drake himself, under the larger UMG umbrella, ultimately took legal action against the corporation in connection with Kendrick's Grammy-sweeping Not Like Us diss. Chains and Whips, according to Push, doesn't actually include any Drake-specific lines from Kendrick. So even that though, I feel like people are not going to take that and still go and listen to the album or listen to Chains and Whips and try to find something there and try to connect the dot that maybe isn't there, or connect the dot that could be there that maybe they just don't want to, they didn't want to allude to when they were presenting the album to Def Jam and saying that's not towards him. But we'll never know. We'll never know. We don't know now, but when the album drops, we're definitely going for that. Still, the powers that be allegedly went so far as to ask for the song to be removed from the final album, which I think is crazy for them to ask for the song to be removed from the album, even though it had no Drake features. Some people are saying that was an ace in UMG's pocket, is to say, we asked them to remove the song so as not to interfere with anything Drake. Just an ace in the pocket. Not even saying that they really believe that, but there was just an ace in the hole to say he can't say we didn't have his back, right? Y'all can let me know how y'all feel about that in the comments. I don't necessarily know if I believe that theory, but I can see how that could work in the long run. They wanted me to ask Kendrick to censor his verse, which of course I was never doing. Push told Fraser, which you can read here. And then they wanted me to take the record off. And so after a month of not doing it, Steve Gawley, the lawyer over there, was like, we'll just drop the clips. which is a crazy sentence to even say. We'll drop them because he won't remove this verse. That does a couple of things. That shows me where, or how disconnected maybe the label was to think that dropping Clipse was a good idea. Because no matter what you think, Clipse is a iconic, battle-tested group. Albums, singles, solos, no matter what it is, Clipse, Pusha, all of them, they solidified. So for you to think that you could just drop them, it lets me know that they devalue Clipse as a whole. They devalue Push. They didn't value what their contribution. And they also really understand Kendrick's place and really understand what Kendrick brings to the mix. If they're willing to drop you because of that verse, that means Kendrick has all types of power. And I think that actually maybe empowers him going forward, knowing they didn't want me. They didn't want me on this song, which then lends to Kendrick's watching the party die. We gonna watch the party die. He could have been writing these songs with all of that knowledge too, and knowing they didn't even want me on the, bro, watch the party die, gang. And which then kind of lets you think like that some of these songs, or that song in particular that kind of came out of nowhere, was kind of at the end, maybe that was dropped with this information in tow. So take that as you will, man. And they wanted me to take the record off. And so after a month of doing this, a month of not doing this, Steve Garley, the lawyer over there, was like, we'll just drop the Clipse. But that can't work because I'm here solo. But if you just let us all go, and let us all go, they did, leading the duo to Roc Nation. Andrew knows we never lie. Per Steven Victor, they had to pay 7 figures to get Pusha T out of his deal at Def Jam. So they said, find another deal and let's figure out a business. They didn't drop us. They were like, pay us this money, which was an exorbitant amount of money, a shit ton of money, and we'll let you out of the deal. That's what happened. We paid them the money, an insane amount of money. It wasn't like $200K. It was a lot of money for an artist to come up with. They bought themselves out of this deal. How many solo projects, how many solo albums did Pusha have left on his deal with Def Jam? I don't really want to talk about that part. He said like 3 albums. So you had to pay 7 figures to get out of the deal. Yeah, that is crazy. No lies told. According to Pusha T's longtime manager, Steven Victor, Pusha paid 7 figures to get out of his deal with Def Jam. Clipse refused to make the requested changes, leading to the unraveling of Pusha T's association with Def Jam, his label home for over a decade. So if you think about that too, right? Clipse had been with them for over a decade, bro. Over a decade. Like, that lets me see that this business is really just dog eat dog, bro. It's what have you done for me lately? It is not, we've done business for 10 years. I've given you guys quality product. I'm one of the most revered artists in the game. Drop them. Who cares? We don't need you. So for the upcoming artists that think you need the label and think they're going to have your back, look what they did to Clipse. Think about it like that. Clipse manager Steven Victor also confirmed a 7-figure amount in an aforementioned interview with Billboard, saying they were like, pay us this money, which was an exorbitant amount. We just read that. That's what happened. We paid them the money, and an insane amount of money. It wasn't like $200K. It was a lot of money for any artist to come up with. They bought themselves out of the deal. On the website formerly known as Twitter, Pusha also confirmed the deal with Roc Nation was done in 24 hours. 24 hours is very real. Like, buttoned up in 24 hours. So he's saying like, yo, we went there. We told him what we wanted. It was done. It was over. We got it done quickly. Def Jam not only refused to let the Clipse drop their album with Kendrick, with the Kendrick feature, but Pusha also had to pay 7 figures to get out of the deal, and Def Jam gets percents of the profits. So they still get a percentage of the profits of the album? Pusha's manager, Steven Victor, called Jay immediately, and they worked out a new deal within 24 hours. That shows you Jay knew what was up. Jay knew what was up. There's no way we can let this happen. There's no way we can let this happen. On Apple Music, the album out July 11th and available for pre-order now via Complex Shop is listed as being released under exclusive license to Roc Nation distribution, which we had a question about earlier. This language has been echoed in the recent press notes with the album billed as marketed and distributed in partnership with Roc Nation. In the messaging surrounding the lead single, Ace Trumpets. The last time we were talking about a new Clipse album, the year was 2009, and the Neptunes were still an active producing duo. Like its long-awaited follow-up to that album, To the Casket Drops, feature cover art designed by Cause. Below, revisit one of the numerous casket highlights, kind of a big deal. All right, man, so I think what this did was just kind of place a button on the whole situation. And it doesn't seem like they're telling any lies here. It doesn't seem like they're telling any lies. They're letting us know exactly what happened. One, we didn't get dropped. Two, they didn't want us on this song together, so we doing our own thing. And three, the crazy part is they went over to Roc Nation and they went to Jay, and Jay was like, all right, let's get it done. So let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments, man. I think this is a very interesting story. It's definitely one to follow, and I'm really excited for this album. I'm happy for the Clipse to be able to get out of their deal. I know paying 7 figures isn't easy. But again, I think they'll make that back and some with this album, especially with the streaming that we're going to be doing with Whips and Chains, man. So I was going to say Chains and Whips. But let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments, man. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. You guys can follow me at all my socials right here. I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace.